Let's move on to the show that we watched this week, which was Silicon Valley. Micah, why don't you start us out?
Okay, so I'll just give the synopsis of it. It's basically talking about the tech industry in Silicon Valley, and the series focuses on Richard Hendricks, a programmer who founded a startup company called Pied Piper, and the series goes through the ups and downs of him and him running a company or companies and all of his friends that he brings along with him. So Braden had actually already seen this before and told me I needed to watch it, and I really didn't want to.
Yeah. What kind of show is this? First of all, is it a drama? Is it a comedy? Is it
a drama comedy? Don't you think?
I think it's definitely a comedy.
Well, it's definitely a comedy, but I think it has drama in it. I think it's both.
I think it's much more comedy than it is drama, I would say.
Okay.
It's like it's a sitcom. So
it's not a sitcom. There's no people laughing.
No, sitcom just means like situational comedy.
Oh, okay.
So you're just putting your characters in different situations, etc., and it's a comedy. I think this would be classified as sitcom.
Okay. So it's a comedy.
Yeah.
A sitcom.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, so I really didn't want to watch the show, first of all, because I thought it looked stupid. Braden had showed me scenes of it, and I thought it was funny, but I still didn't want to watch it because I thought it looked stupid. And then I started watching it, and I didn't want to like it because I didn't want Braden to be right. And then I started watching it, and I really liked it, and then I was mad because Braden was right.
Because I believed I was right. I still believe I'm right, and I'm right.
And she's still going to give it a bad score because now she's mad.
But I think that a lot of these characters, there's not like a lot of like character development.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like Seinfeld, how the characters don't really develop.
Yeah, they don't change.
Yeah, they don't change. They're the same from the beginning to the end. And in Silicon Valley, some of that kind of bugged me because Richard is really a really good programmer and he's really smart, but he's not the best business person. And he makes some really emotional decisions that really affect his company, and that like is kind of frustrating, but also like the people around him really in those moments carry the show for me, where I'm like, okay, well that's annoying, but I can get past it because this other character is funny and making me laugh.
Yeah.
And then Richard is like comes out of that, and then it's good.
Yeah, I agree. I think I think that there is a little bit of development with Richard as a business person, because by the end he is semi-competent and he doesn't make the same mistakes that other people start making later, like when Dinesh is in charge of the company and Dinesh has literally no clue how to do it. And Richard finds like the issue that's going to bury Dinesh.
Yeah.
So you can see that like he has learned a little bit along the way. But I mean, really, this show is like just watching kind of the chaos unfold as they try to get this startup, this really high potential unicorn startup off the ground and running.
Yeah. Well, and it's so funny.
Yeah, it's really freaking funny. It's really really funny. It's super vulgar. So this is. Obviously, we forgot to do a parents' rating of Paddington, but
I don't think it really needs one.
Yeah, you can watch it with anybody. This one is an HBO show with a lot of swearing in it.
Yeah. And Braden tried to tell me that there was no nudity in the whole show except for one episode, but he was wrong.
There's a couple.
It was 2 episodes in a row.
Well, okay, so there's no sex in it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's
no act.
Right, apart from
yes, there is.
They show.
Yes, there is sex.
Talking about
the horses.
Yeah, they show 2 horses breeding.
Cause there is no cock like horse cock.
And it is.
Because we're looking at it and Richard is looking at it and Richard's like, can we just move over to the side and have this conversation? I don't want to look at this. So like that's And then there's like one episode where there's person nudity, and it's for a couple of seconds. I'm not going to give away the situation, but it's like totally for comedic purposes. It's not. It's not like what's the word? Erotic. It's not.
Oh, it's definitely not.
Yeah, it's not that.
It's gross.
So I would say for an HBO show, and for just a modern show in general, it's really light on the nudity.
Yeah.
Really,
but it does
really light.
have a lot of swearing.
Yes, it's heavy on that.
Yeah.
So be forewarned, I guess. But one of the things I wanted to say about this, so this is another show that, or another property, sort of like Paddington, that dips into the absurdist humor and the dry wit as well. But I told Micah this. I feel like this is the show that The Big Bang Theory wishes it was.
Damn!
Because it's sort of a similar concept. You've got this group of really smart people, and you put them all together and you let situations unfold. So just like The Big Bang Theory. But in The Big Bang Theory, they rely on just, let's make fun of how nerdy these nerds are. Like, they really rely on that joke over and over and over again. Like, Sheldon will say something super nerdy, right? Like, we're going to go watch Battlestar Galactica all night, and then we're going to watch Zack Snyder's director's cut of Watchmen, and then we're going to, X, Y, and Z. And the audience just laughs at that because it's nerdy, and that's the whole joke.
Yeah.
And, like, that's fine to do every once in a while. But like over and over and over, that's what The Big Bang Theory does. This show doesn't. It never relies on stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I feel like the effort that went into the writing of the situations that these characters are in is much, much higher. And yeah, I love it. And the characters are hilarious. Another thing that I think this show is like kind of sets it apart from other comedies is there is a character that leaves in the 4th season that was part of the main cast
at the end of the 4th season,
right? And typically, like, that's the sign of a show that's in decline.
Yeah. Or like you really miss them, like in Community when Troy leaves.
Yeah.
And you really feel that absence.
Yes. And Pierce also in Community, and then doesn't Shirley leave at some point?
I can't remember.
I think she does, and they just replace those characters. And The Office, when Michael leaves, that's another example. Seinfeld, Larry David left at a certain point, so you can, like, the later seasons feel a little bit different because they're missing something. So the same thing happens in this show where one of the main cast leaves, but there are, like, every character on that show can make you laugh.
Yeah.
So this show stays, in my opinion, just as funny as it always has been through its 6 seasons.
Yeah. And like, if he was one of your favorite characters, which like he was for me, like, you're definitely sad that he's gone.
Yeah.
And you're sad that he's not there. But like Braden said, like, the other characters are still so funny.
Yeah.
And like the situations that they get in are so dumb.
Yeah.
That you're like, it's okay. Like, I wish he was here. It would make it a little bit more funny.
Yeah.
But it's not funny because he's not there.
And again, like, I love the absurdist, like, the developments of these situations where they end up is so funny. Like, one of the ones that I remember is when Ehrlich, the player that is played by the character that's played by TJ Miller.
You're sitting there like a fucking baboon.
They all hate the name Pied Piper, except for Richard. Richard wants to stick with Pied Piper, but everybody else is telling him that he needs to change it. And then they find out there's another company called Pied Piper, so there's a reason that they have to change it. And Ehrlich is telling Richard that what he needs to do is go on a vision quest.
I forgot about this.
Yeah, so he's
to come up with a new name.
Yeah, so he wants him to take a bunch of mushrooms, go out into the desert, and just let the name come to him.
Yeah.
Because that's what Ehrlich did for his company that he sold. And so Richard doesn't want to do it, so Ehrlich decides that he's going to do it. So he takes the entire bag of mushrooms.
Many mushrooms.
Yeah, he's driving out into the desert,
What? Wait, and he takes the mushrooms and he's like, I have 45 minutes until they kick in.
Yeah.
And he's driving on this road and then traffic
Yep.
hits. And he's like, oh no.
So they're going to hit way before he's ready, way before he's out of society. He wants to like put himself, away from everything.
Well, and he shouldn't be driving under the influence.
Exactly. So the way that this episode ends is he ends up just tripping out like crazy, and then he kidnaps a little Mexican boy because he thinks that the Mexican boy is him from the future. And so he comes home because he's just high as hell, and then he kidnaps this kid, and then that's how the episode ends. And it like
wait, the episode ends with them getting the notice for the Amber Alert.
Right, and then he shows up. That's when you find out that he kidnapped the kid, and he has this little kid, and he's showing him into the house, and he's like, "Mi casa es mi casa." It's so funny. Like these situations that they get into are hilarious. Highly recommend. Anyway.
Jared, what's his name in the office?
Oh gosh, yes. He might be my favorite character.
What's his name in the office?
Gabe.
Yeah. Yeah, so Gabe from The Office is in this show, Silicon Valley, and he plays the character named Jared, which I feel like his character from this show and The Office is very similar. He plays a skinny, crazy white guy.
Yeah.
That is slightly unstable, but I feel like they really leaned into him being really loyal and caring to the people that he loves. But he will mess somebody up.
He's so funny.
If they hurt the people that he loves.
Yeah.
And like his backstory is so sad. He like grew up in the system and he's like, I'm not gonna catch a case for you.
Yeah.
But he's like this very like soft spoken until somebody gets under his skin and then he's like almost assaults them.
Yeah. The actor's name is Zachary Woods. I just looked up. But he's awesome.
Oh, he does such a good job.
Yeah. I much prefer his character in this to who he was in The Office. But yeah, let's rate it.
Well, wait, because he's so skinny, and like in The Office, that like they're like, remember Erin, and she's like, sleeping with him is like sleeping with a skeleton.
Yeah.
And then like in this one, he's like, I'm well under 45 pounds. Like I'm 45 pounds underweight, so it's okay, or something like that. And they like reference it, and it's not like he knows that he's underweight, but he like is like, it's okay or whatever. I don't know.
He's like they lean into the absurdity again.
Yeah.
Of who he is. Like he
is so caring.
He gets into a self-driving car at one point, and the billionaire that owns the self-driving car is building an island, and then in the middle of his ride it gets rerouted to the island. And so he gets locked away
in this car for 4 days.
Yeah,
in a shipping container.
Yeah, he ends up in a shipping container. So he's just 4 days without food and water in a shipping container on an island.
No service.
Somehow he survives. Somehow he gets back.
And after he comes back, he's super paranoid and he's super sleep deprived.
It's just great. I love this show. I'm very glad that I watched it.
What would you rate it?
Okay. I'm going to give it 9.5 octopuses out of 10.
Octopus? It's a water animal.
I know what an octopus is.
I really don't know. I can't fault this show, really. I was trying to think about what I didn't like about it, and I just enjoyed it the whole time.
Yeah.
Like Richard was kind of a dick at some point.
Definitely.
At some points.
Yeah.
But he has like redeeming moments where you're okay with him.
Yeah.
And I think that's, that's sort of what they were going for, is you need to kind of be that way to be a CEO. So
yeah,
it's not really a fault of the show. It's at all. 9.5.
Oh, what made you
octopuses
take away 0.5
out of 10? I feel like I just can't give out perfect ratings willy-nilly.
Yeah, that's fair. I think I would give it, 9 bongs. Out of 10 bongs.
Out of 10 bongs.
Out of 10 bongs. And I think it's that nudity made me feel so uncomfortable.
The horse.
The horse definitely, and then the other one is so gross.
Yeah.
And
or the mural.
Yeah, the mural.
That's one of the fun.
And then
we're not going to spoil that, but
yeah. And then I wish that Ehrlich, the character that left, I wish he would have stayed.
Okay.
And that's why I'm taking away 1 point.
Okay, but otherwise,
I really liked it.
Yeah.